Hi everyone, welcome to our live session tonight, Friday night at the Norn Way. And again, we tried bringing you interesting, very thought-provoking subjects and topics. Yet we have another one, and this time something that we all, the three of us, really feel strongly about. And I'm sure, like everybody has, experienced it. It is the it is the power of failure, like what is the meaning of failure and resilience. So I will have one of my friends, Dr. Hafsa. Uh, I'll give you the cue. What is failure? Like, what is, like, we all fail in life, right? And failure is inevitable. But how does failure bring about resilience?
All right. Failure is definitely part of life. If there's life, there's failure. You can't have everything your way. If you have everything enough, it's important because it lands you with something that is quite essential to a person's growth, which is experience. You need to have enough sets of experiences. You need to know what works out, what doesn't work out. And sometimes it's very important to know what doesn't work out and how it doesn't work out to be able to move on with life and grow. So, failure is quite an essential component of life. How does it bring resilience? Once we get hit by failure, and most importantly, we do not associate something called shame with failure, and we move on and we learn the lessons that the failure and the experience derived during the failure brought us. We develop something called resilience. We are open to getting hit more. We're open to trying better things. We're open to, we're more confident that way. We know for a fact that we went past all of this and we got on to the other side. And the thought makes us what we know as resilience. In technical terms, in materials and engineering, resilience is when you try and put wires and you try to put metals through a lot of forces and they still are able to maintain their essential properties. That property is called resilience, and similar goes for humans. Them being put through experiences and them being put through external forces enough, and them coming out on the other side, maintaining their essential inert beauty. That's resilience, I feel.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my internet connection, so I just kind of blacked out there. But I could hear you, and yes, that is so profound, and that is so well said. Misha, over to you. How does failure lead to resilience?
Failure leads to resilience. Failure is a term that most of us think that it's the end of the world for most of us. Like whenever we are having a failure, so we think that things are not going our way. But failure is just not stopping us towards reaching our goal. It's just an opportunity and attempt in making us good in the process. To when we achieve that goal, we are actually there at that level. For that's why we'll get, if we treat failure as an attempt, as an opportunity to make ourselves the best version of ourselves. It gives us time to unleash our potential, and it also, if we are not resilient, because failure just gives us meaning towards success. It's the stepping stones. It's just like taking one step at a time towards success. So, and failure leads to success in such a way that most successful resilient people can lead with distress. So it's just a bounce back. It gives us power to try again, to take
The
that
ability,
opportunity
yeah.
again. So it's just a vicious cycle that goes on and on. So if we are not resilient, we cannot deal with stress or any kind of like setbacks that most of us having in every part of our life. So that's how failure leads to resilience, and failure are connected to one another.
Yeah, the ability to not let things stress you down, and something that
Yeah.
doesn't let stress affect you, and you're able to retain and not get deformed. That's what resilience
Yeah.
is.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. Resilience is, again, this is like a power that you harness and inculcate. And
Yes.
once you have definitely failed, and I think resilience leads, it's driven by the passion and the burning desire to get back your life or whatever it is that you failed at, your relationship, your life, your project, your, whatever it is that was a setback. You want to, that burning desire, that drive to get back on track and try again. And I think that is
Yes.
why failure in its essence is so uh, important. And there's nobody, in fact, I think, who doesn't fail. And the important part about failure is that it teaches us the lessons that we hadn't learned.
Yes.
So yeah, both of you have said that so correctly. And of course, indeed, in life, everybody fails, and nobody is always successful. And we know that one of the most successful people on the planet have failed. They have failed and they have failed, but because they had that power of resilience, because they inculcated resilience, they were passionate about the cause, they had belief in them, they came back. So, you want to share some experiences about failure, like anything that you have been set back on?
Well,
Yes, definitely.
a number of times. I mean, those of my friends who've known me know for a fact, they've known me since, let's say, 10 plus years and beyond. I think they know for a fact that I'm somebody who's dealt with a lot of failure in life. And if you remember back at Dr. Leonard's show, we mentioned that, he asked us to have a describing word for ourselves, and mine was resilient. So it stems from a lot of having to have met with a lot of failure in life. For me, failure on like largely started off in terms of academics, because at a younger stage in life, that's the one part of your life where all your emotions are tied towards. You have to do well. You have to live up to your parents' expectations. You have to live up to your expectations of doing well. And I had maintained a certain reputation, your own reputation. You have to live up to that. So my reputation was that of a very smart kid, who had achieved a lot, who had got into a right place, and it can't always work your way. So when I met with academic failure for the first time, and this was pretty hard. I had shifted to a different educational system from a different educational system in our country, and I wasn't able to cope up with it because I'd handled something a lot more complicated in the past. And this particular system was comparatively simple, yet it was a different system altogether, and I wasn't able to adjust with that. It went from O levels to matriculate to intermediate, and I failed massively at my academics in a really bad way. I got hit so bad. But the important thing over there was that I did not associate my failure with shame. And I think that is what keeps you resilient in the first place. Having
Yes,
to
yeah,
know, having to know that you've been better at some point, having your own victory log held tightly in your palm, knowing that this is where I did really well, and this isn't me. This is a part of my life. This is not me myself. Because a lot of times when people fail, they go a little depressive, and they go like, I'm such a failure. You're not such a failure. Your life failed at certain point, or certain things failed at certain point, but you're not a failure. So remembering to not associate shame with failure was one of the most important takes of this entire thing. And I was able to try again and again and again and again to get back to what I knew that I was capable of. And it really helped. I was somebody who was able to laugh with my friends. I was somebody who did have a lot of pain of that particular failure. There's no such thing as, fail and just completely be happy about it. But I was able to laugh. Another thing that I did was that I had my self worth divided into a number of things in life. My academics weren't the only thing I was banking all my emotions on. I had my public speaking going on. I had certain avenues in life to, that if something failed, something else was able to hold me together and bring me, keep me what I was. So I feel like all these elements combined made me what I am today, and that's resilient.
yes, and it's quite a journey to reach resilience and to achieve resilience. It really is, an acquired characteristic. I mean, not really acquired because there are people who are naturally resilient and they're naturally very motivated. They're very sort of, you know, they're fighters, right? And
Yeah.
no amount of challenge will bog them down. I mean, there are different kind of people, and there are those, fearless, uh, fighting spirits who are not bogged down or affected by failures, and they just, keep their vision on the goal. And that is a winning quality to have. But for most of us, it doesn't come naturally to us. But I feel that that is where failure is so important, because you would not know what resilience is unless you failed. And like
Yeah.
you said, like, there shouldn't be any shame associated with failure, and I totally agree. But it does come in naturally. And again, failure teaches you, it's a journey, and it teaches you that, hey, there's nothing to be ashamed about. Like you said, like, I may have failed, I may have fallen, but life is still there, life goes on, and I have so many chances. But the important thing about failure to me is to learn, you know, to really learn, and the lesson that it taught you, and really kind of analyze, what you did wrong and what could have worked. And it's not always that you can do it on the first time you fail. I mean, I've experienced personally that you can fail again. We know the story of the spider, right? Who tried climbing the wall, fell down, and he tried, and then we're all very familiar with it. So what about you guys? Misha, what about you?
Um, this failure thing is so close to me because I used to fail in every step of life. For example, not academically, but certain things that I wanted to achieve, I never achieved when I wanted to. So I always take it for example. Then when I moved to from Lahore to Karachi, it was a big shift. So setting up in this environment, like born and bred in a completely different province and shifting over here, and then mixing up, mingling up over here, and just making your mark professionally over here. So I really had setbacks in
Yeah,
my career, and but if I didn't had this power of resilience within me, I wouldn't have like been able to cope up with all the failures that have been in front of me at every part of life, at every step. Because people will only respect you and want to be with you when you show them that you are worth of anything, and because that's how you make your mark in a society or something. That's you need to show something that you're capable of something. But in order to be that someone, you really have to be resilient enough to take those comments and
risk.
yeah
Yes,
and to own that okay, I'm struggling in these areas, but if I just quit, I will never be able to get that kind of a success that I want, because always I had this vision in my mind that I want to be the best in what I do. And
yeah,
after, it's been quite a journey, and now alhamdulillah, doing this like the Norn Way show with you guys and everything, it's all just practicing all those acts that I feared the most and thought that I will fail at it. I tried failing at it no matter like thousand times, but yet I'm able to do it. So that's this actually taught me that not to be a quitter or something, right? So this is how resilience and failure has importance for me in my life.
yeah. And that's a very important point you brought up, because resilience is really not quitting. And so many of us, we've been through experiences which have been difficult, we fail, and it shocks your confidence. It shatters your faith in yourself shatters, or you get intimidated, or you are afraid to fail again. Because failure is something we take very personally.
Yeah,
Unless, of course, you ultimately realize that failure is only but natural, and it's like a journey in life, and failure is actually instrumental in being in acquiring success. But we there have been times when your faith in yourself, your confidence in yourself gets shattered, and you just kind of step back or you quit. You know. And then, like, you're saying that you have that resilience, and you thought that I'm not going to give up and I'm just going to try. So, that is the importance of resilience, having belief in yourself, continuing to have the belief in yourself. And of course, we all are faced with like self doubts and questioning and second guessing our abilities. Uh, but resilience really is where you overcome all of those, sort of emotions and thoughts that are actually failing you to try again.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, I mean, I agree. And I've suffered setbacks as well. And there have been times, like I said, where I perhaps shied away again. And later on in life, as you journey through life, you realize, look back, and you say, oh, I shouldn't have. But I do feel that, resilience and fearlessness is it's a journey. It's like, you get there along the way. But the most important thing is to learn from your failure. So what have you guys learned? Like, what's the one important lesson that failure has taught you, other than of course, resilience, resilience.
Yes,
Um,
doctor.
I think the one thing that it really taught me how necessary it is to fail at times, because the perspectives that you get during that spurt of growth, during the failure, had things gone your way, you wouldn't have gotten those. The things that I failed at, not just academics, and generally for a lot of things, I think it made me realize the things that it just expanded my view of seeing things. It made me see things in a different way, and perspective is a very is a jewel. It makes you very rich having more and more perspectives. So failure puts you through a very different perspective than the one you could have had with constantly things going your way. You're only going to be able to see the world working out in a certain way. You're always going to get the same results, and you're not going to get enough experience if you don't fail. So I think that was one of the things that taught me. Then again, like I mentioned, the ability to know for a fact that there is no shame in failing, that particular thing. Then also the importance of carrying a victory log. You know how it's easy maybe for us to say, hey, it's okay, we were resilient, we were able to go through all of that. Sometimes it's just not possible. What do you do then? I mean, what if you feel like you're inertly a weak person? How do you go about it then? I think a couple of things really help there. And carrying a victory log, it's like a little list of things that you have achieved in your life. Everything, every little achievement. I think you should have a little book or a little diary or a piece of scroll, a little piece of paper stating every bit of what you did right in life, an accumulation of maybe your certificates, every little victory out there. Just put it down, and every time you're down, every time you feel like you failed at something, pull it out and just look at what you did achieve. And I think that just adds a bit more resilience to you. Resilience in terms of in dentistry, we when we describe a material as resilient, like I said, it's something that can be put under a lot of stress and it still doesn't deform. So
Yeah.
let's say life and failure brings with it a lot of stress, and you're going to look at that victory log, and it's not going to let you deform yourself because you're going to know exactly what you are, how good you are, and how capable of you are. So I think this is what failure has taught me, how to go about life. Now, very much it is part of life, and how it's important to learn how to cope up with it.
Very well said.
What
Very
about
well
me,
said.
Misha?
Failure has taught me that everything comes to you on a certain time, which is set by faith and God, Allah, that things will come to you at their time, no matter how much you want that output at that time, how much you want that outcome. But I think that failure makes you keeps you grounded, keeps you calm, and keeps you in that shape. So failure has taught me to be more self-aware and to be grounded and to be more generous and to be grateful for the things that I have. So these are the little lessons that failure has taught, but yet it made me a better person. If I had all those things that I wanted at that certain point in time, I wouldn't be the best human being that I wanted to be. So I think those certain setbacks or those failures comes to us to just shape into a person that we are destined to become. So,
Absolutely.
so this is what failure teaches us. So it's just the best teacher for us to just go be out there and to become that person that you vision yourself that you will be one day. So that's what it taught.
That is so
Really.
true, and beautiful, and I think I totally agree
Yes.
that if you don't fail, how would you cherish your achievements and what you worked so hard for? You know, if we don't
Yep.
fail, how will we hold them so precious and look back and if things just came so easily to us, there wouldn't be any sense of gratitude or appreciation, and we wouldn't cherish the hard work. And of course, like failure drives you to really put your it inspire I mean drives you to inspire you to give your best, right?
Yeah.
And if you didn't fail, how would you be inspired to give more, to try harder,
Yeah.
to get better? So failure really is a process that refines your abilities and your skills, and it's a teacher. It's really a teacher, and every success comes with a price. And I think
Yes.
most of the times that price is failure, because if failure wasn't there, you wouldn't really know how to get better at that. And
Yeah.
success is only really the highest form of good. You don't become successful if you're average. You become successful at something if you're really good at it. And
Yeah.
it's only normal that most people would fail when they take risks and when they start out on something new. So, the important
Absolutely.
part that we have to highlight here is that failure leads to resilience, leads to
Yeah.
courage, it leads to becoming a better and
Gratitude.
then the best version of yourself. It leads to inspiration, more ambition, this burning desire to overcome that or conquer that setback. So failure really is like this enlightening process. And then you have so many famous people. So just what are like one person that you've known about whose story, like it could be somebody famous or not famous, personally, that has inspired you, who has failed and you have been inspired by their journey that led to success eventually.
Uh, I think nearly every person that we follow. For example, Albert Einstein. He was somebody who had come with a lot of struggle. That society had seen him as a complete failure for a while. And here he is. He stands synonymous to genius now. Like, if you want to call somebody a genius, you don't call them a genius anymore. You call him an Einstein. That's how successful he is now. And to think he failed so many times. Thomas Edison is the classical example given for failures. That he knows a number of ways that things don't work to be able to figure out the number of things that did work. Then there were lots of strong women in history. There was several. I think everybody at some point or another we know was someone who failed. Um, J.K. Rowling, before she wrote Harry Potter, was somebody who was going through immense failure in life, and things weren't working out her way at all. And there she was, creating something that we know now as the ultimate children's storybook, and have a whole fandom thriving on. So I feel like every person that we've followed at some point keenly met with failure. I recently wrote about Nelson Mandela. He had things not working out his way at all when he was during his freedom movement. Then there is one more example that I thought of and I can't recall. But I think every other person I know has met with failure off and on and has come out on the other side beautifully to be able to teach us that success demands failure at some point to be able to truly cherish that success and make it
Yeah,
worthwhile.
those are quite a few, famous and absolutely inspirational people, like, on the planet, uh, that you have brought up, and their stories of success are absolutely mind blowing. And when you read up about their journey, you find out that they have met with real failures, and it's only their failure that they've talked about later on, and said that if they hadn't failed, they wouldn't have been able to achieve what they had. So, Misha, anyone who inspires you?
we have so many people in our religion that inspires us, and plus people who are very successful at this point in time. For example, Tony Robbins and Neil and people like that. That were the gurus, the success gurus. They have already had the setbacks in their life. They were failing back then, and then they worked hard on themselves. They educated themselves. They were like into more into self education. If they would have like stopped there and they didn't do what was necessary to become the best in the world, they wouldn't be at that platform. So we have so many examples in front of us. For example, let's first say uh, if you were taking names over here, then I, I just had want to share a real life example in my life. Like I take both of you as as an inspiration because I've seen both of you
Oh, that's so
fail. No,
sweet.
no, no, no. It's
Bobby.
just a correct thing that I've
Oh,
seen both of you had like immense failures in your life, but the way you both stood up and dealt with it, if it hadn't been resilience within yourself, we wouldn't be able to create this thing, this platform. So that's why sharing like you both are the best role models for that. So successful is who is just like taking all the that hard work and taking all that distress and just coming out of it beautifully is what makes the most. So anyone who can do that is a successful person for me, and both of you are examples of that. So over to you, Dr. Sana.
oh, Misha, like
Thank
literally,
you
I
very
might
much.
start crying right now. I'm getting sweat.
I'm getting
I
well
don't
now.
want to.
No, no, it was
But that is so, but that's so true, what you said, that success isn't just the acquisition of wealth and labels
yeah,
and defined by, how much amount of money you have or ranks or the status. Like you said, success is overcoming and rising above the challenges in your life and showing
yeah,
up in life and, taking the challenges head on and, coming out stronger.
yeah,
Like you said to me, that
Absolutely.
this success as well, because being successful, a lot of us related to, oh, somebody is really successful, oh, because millionaire, billionaire, Forbes top 50, CEO. But yes, of course, those people are admirable, and their success cannot be undermined or discredited. But one must remember to appreciate your own struggles and your own ability and courage that you have overcome those struggles. And that is also success. And that is what resilience really is about.
because
If I
that
were to
what you
talk about,
mentioned,
yeah,
that's what you mentioned that it inspires us. So real life examples inspire us. We are listening stories of the most successful people in the world, but we are seeing people who are living up to those expectations. So this is what sums up the entire thing of this entire show. That what resilience and failure is. That's what we are seeing in our daily life.
Absolutely.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And that is what resilience is. And, I think, like we said, failure is a teacher, and it's okay to fail. Everybody fails, and we own our failures, and we learn from them, and we keep going. So that's
Yeah,
what I have to say about it in the end. That
yeah.
here we are, all experienced failures, and we've all, in our journey of life, learned to become more resilient. Anything you girls want to say in the end?
I would like to say something though. Uh, we've all failed at life, and like Misha said, that she's seen us fail at life. We've seen Misha go through setbacks too. But the important thing here is to know that resilience is a very essential component to have to be resilient or constantly choosing to be resilient in a certain number of ways that we've kind of mentioned here, or in any way that you like. It's
Yeah,
important because that particular point of life, which is seeming like a failure over and over again, is going to end at some point. I mean, I did wonderfully at academics later on. I became a dentist. I am now a healthcare manager. I scored the highest in my GAT in my class, if you guys remember. So I that's history now. With resilience, failure becomes history. And that's an important take here. Dr. Sana is a brilliant person now who is, like I said, I always appreciate her multitasking and her ability to look in her phone and have her eye on academics, have her eye on her children, have her eye in the place of work. And she can do just so much now because she knows how to. And the way she goes about life so gracefully, it's amazing. So life gets better once you realize that failure is an essential component of it. You're going to meet with it. It's going to be a friend. Meet with it as a friend, and for sure, choose resilience to handle failure over and over and over again, and know that it is going to get better. Likewise, I'd like to say that sometimes some people don't have the privilege for us to constantly tell them, hey, it's going to get better on the other side and it's going to get better for you. Maybe it wouldn't. So here comes our little social responsibility, that as we are at certain points of success in our life, and maybe some other people are at a point of failure, do hold out a hand, reach it out and help them out of it. I don't think that, along with my resilience, a lot of my resilience comes from the fact that I have a good back of friends as well. I mean, I know for a fact that if at any point I'm going to feel bad, or my life's not going to be, I have Misha a call away, I have Dr. Sana a call away, I have a lot of other friends who've been a call away for me all this time. So I would have to attribute that to the presence of people in my life. So if you know for a fact that you want to become resilient, do help out others become so as well. Do reach out for other people too. Help them in their points of failure too. If that's an essential lesson in failure, that life's not going to work somebody else's way. You need to be their candle sometimes as well to light the way. So I think this is what I'd like to leave people on a note. Stay bright, always have faith, and
Yeah.
always lend
What a
a helping
beautiful,
hand.
beautiful,
Also,
beautiful message.
very beautiful message. Very beautiful message. And also try, if we are giving advice to people that how to be more resilient, just be grateful, practice gratitude, and find out your strengths and make a plan towards your betterment. That, oh, I failed at this point, then how can I make myself better at this thing? Get a plan on that
True.
and reach out to the people, build a community. So if you have a community and you discuss, you might find someone who has actually been through the same problem you are struggling at. So if there is a community that you have built, then you will find answers. So on that note, we are done with our this live session. Hope you all enjoyed it. So
Yep.
with that,
And
we're
remember
signing
that
off.
if you fail, own your failures proudly. And the important thing is to learn from